Adolescence is a tumultuous period between childhood and adulthood, where rebellious behaviors that are difficult to deal with often surface. These formative years encompass not only reproductive growth but also cognitive, emotional, and social maturation. So it is natural that teenagers would face certain struggles at the threshold of this development. However, not all teens remain within the category of normal rebellion. In some circumstances, they may begin to engage in risky behaviors with lifelong consequences, or they could develop certain mental or personality disorders that have a major impact on their ability to cope with everyday life. Today, we are focused on a particular individual called Tyrone Fernandez de Araujo. He is a 14-year-old male student at our school who is at risk of failing three of his subjects: English, maths, and visual arts. A lot of teachers have remarked on his reluctance to follow instructions. What we find is that teenagers at times have a lack of acceptance of delayed gratification and are inclined to take risks. For Tyrone, they take form in delinquency such as bullying, fighting other students, and truancy. When Tyrone was involved with a school-wide brawl, he was incited by senior students who he befriended. According to his classmates, it was a method to increase a notion of power and influence within the community. One possible explanation is that the social emotional center takes over the decision-making processes of teenagers. There is a proposed dual process model of cognitive development that describes two relatively independent modes of information processing, typically contrasting an analytic cold system with an experiential hot one. Adolescent behavior would most likely be driven by social capital and sensation seeking. From his point of view, it is simply the cool thing to do. For example, the adulation of peers encourage misbehaviors and will be affiliated with hot connection. During class, Tyrone would sit by the corner of the classroom and chat loudly with his peers instead of staying on task. When approached, Tyrone would confront the teacher with sarcasm and at times curse words. This is especially apparent when he sits together with other known troublemakers, a sign of hot cognition influence. By the end of year 8, Tyrone has been absent for nearly a quarter of his classes. As long as Tyrone prioritizes hedonic pleasures and does not appreciate the benefits of long-term gains, it will be difficult to instill positive learner behavior. This situation seems to be exacerbated by factors such as poverty, attention deprivation, and toxic stress. A low socioeconomic status family may feature an unreliable nurturing relationship, which can negatively influence Tyrone's overall educational performance in various ways. Socioeconomic status can be defined as a person's overall social position, to which attainments in both the social and economic domain contribute. When used in studies of children's school achievement, it refers to the socioeconomic status of the parents or family. Children from low socioeconomic status families are less likely to receive encouragement for developing fundamental skills of reading comprehension, phonological awareness, and vocabulary acquisition. Their initial reading competency is correlated with the home literacy environment. Poor households are at a disadvantage because they lack access to learning materials including books, computers, skill-building lessons, or tutors to create the aforementioned positive literacy environment. This is further compounded by low expectations set by parents and teachers who are wary of their innate disadvantages. Furthermore, the consistent exposure to added adversity leads to lasting impacts on behavior. For example, attention deficit, disinterest, and lack of cooperation are common symptoms of low socioeconomic status households. The emotional distress could be caused by the perception of family, personal financial constraints. It could also be a trend among authoritarian parenting that is common among low socioeconomic status families. Maternal anger, low parent-child involvement, and harsh forms of discipline are identified predictors of bullying. Studies showed that school-age bullies experience negative emotions about or a greater emotional distance between themselves and their parents. Compared to non-bullies, non-victims, they are also reporting higher difficulties in communicating with their family members. This could result in both overt bullying, such as physical aggression, and relational bullying, like verbal aggression. Tyrone has displayed mostly the former that culminated into the school-wide brawl mentioned earlier. It appears that his home environment is not compatible with empathy development, which is an essential inhibitor of aggressive behavior. Overall, a comprehensive plan with targeted approach is required to assist in Tyrone's behavioral management. This will be elaborated upon in the next section.